Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. My name is George Slackegg, and yes, I am still working on this old 1989 pickup truck of mine. It's a long story, and if you want to know more about it, you'll have to go to the playlist that I made about it, and that is still growing with every video that I add. Today we're going to tackle, after doing the last time, I want to show you a quick glimpse. Finished this last night. Yeah, see, we got this steering knuckle back in its place. So today, I'm going to put the backing plate back in there, the rotor, the caliper. I got all these parts, and well, right now we're just going to do the one side. You can then imagine the other side, because I'm probably not going to film it because I'm just trying to get this truck done, but I'm sharing what I can. So I'll show you what I'm doing right now, right here. See, this is the rotor that I took off of this truck. I left all the lug nuts with it so I don't lose them. Cleaned up inside of there. So you can see there's somebody probably drove this in with a punch, but the bearing cup looks like it's in good enough shape. So do the bearings. I put them in a little bit of solvent here. I'm going to clean them with what is really a paintbrush. That's what I had in my shed. That's why. Clean them up really good and repack them. Yeah, first step is just to clean them up, and then I can actually leave them to dry, or if it takes too long, I'll blow them out. And during that time, I'm going to refurbish or clean up the backing plate and put it in there before the rotor. So that's what's on the agenda. So I would say that probably about 50% of any overhaul on your car or on your truck is cleaning. So that's what I'm doing to the backing plate now. I give this a little coat of primer, and we're gonna finish this with the painter's touch. There. But now, while this is drying off, so I can recoat it, I'm going to go back to the truck, and the wheel bearings are probably dry now, so I can pack them. So these bearings are about as clean as they'll ever be. I put this one on the cardboard for a reason, because I'm going to start greasing this one. Working it into the rollers as much as I can, because that's important. This is a good grease. It's made for wheel bearings. This bearing is good to go. So if you don't see the entire process of this, it's because, I didn't want to touch my GoPro camera with my hands full of grease, and it's probably not recommended to even handle this grease with your hands. But when you're used to working with your hands, then sometimes putting gloves on, just like it's been like that for me for years. When I put gloves on, I don't feel the piece of work. I don't really feel the same way about it after. So I usually work with my bare hands whenever possible. All right, let's put that bearing in there. See, I prepared this by putting lots of grease on there. And there we go. This is good enough. Next step is new seal for this bearing. Require a little bit of tapping to get it in there. See, I used plastic hammer, so it'll still go in easily enough, but when it doesn't, then if I decide to hit a little harder, I don't deform the seal or anything like that. At least not that easily. Now it's time to install this backing plate. There's a rubber washer here that I've reused. It's really just some kind of cushioning thing, I guess. There, now it all lines up. All I have to do is put those bolts in there, tighten them up. What I like to do to my bolts is just a little bit of this anti-seize compound. Doesn't take much. A little bit works wonders, but the next time you have to take these off, you don't have to worry about breaking anything. Like them up one at a time, and then I'll give it an extra twist so they're nice and tight. The next step is to make sure that the spindle is really clean. So before I put this on there, I just slightly lubricate this seal so I don't run the risk of gouging it or anything like that. Brand new seal. We want it to last for years and years. I'll get it on just fine. There, that's good. Just gotta hold it. Slide my bearing in there. It's all greased up. So is the race. Here's my special washer. And then finally, this nut. This means everything's on. It's on, but it's not done. This nut controls your wheel bearing adjustment. Those bearings are tapered and there has to be a certain amount of pressure on them. Put it too loose and the wheel will have play, and it'll also cause excessive wear to these bearings and uneven wear. Put too much pressure and they'll heat up and it'll also cause excessive wear. So in order to get that just right, there's a procedure you have to follow. I'm using a 1/2-inch drive ratchet with a socket that fits. But while I'm turning the rotor, I am tightening it slowly until I reach a point where I feel a lot of resistance on my ratchet and the rotor gets harder to turn. Now I'm backing it off, and now the rotor gets easier to turn once again, but I repeat the same steps a few times. This will allow the grease to spread. Eventually, this allows me to find the sweet spot where the rotor is still easy enough to turn, but I cannot really tighten the nut anymore without putting a lot of torque on it. And that's the spot where I keep it. To align the cotter pin with the hole in the spindle, I may have to back it off just a little bit. I will recheck this later on when the wheel is installed by pulling on the wheel to make sure there's no play. Now, if there is any play, then it needs to be just a little bit tighter, and if there's not, I'll leave it alone. Guys, what did I do? Now it's raining and it's coming down like buckets or something like that. Anyways, I put the cap on there, and I can put the wheel actually on there, and then we'll worry about the caliper, I'm guessing tomorrow afternoon or later tonight, I don't know. Yeah, put a little bit of grease in there in the cap. Now I'm just tapping it in here with a plastic hammer. There's clouds up there. Right, let's take a look at my caliper that I bought. I bought it with those pads attached. Now these pads are brand spanking new, but they're glazed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a little rubbing with the sandpaper, and then the rest my rotors will do. And you can see the evidence that I use for knowing how good these calipers really are is like, look at these sliders. They're like brand spanking new, super clean. So I'm not going to worry too much about the seals in there because I'm assuming they are good, they are dry, everything looks like fantastic. Most important for this caliper, the bleeder. Yeah, sometimes they freeze, they're stuck and they're hard to undo. This one is nice and easy. Don't want to put anything on there for lubrication other than brake fluid because I don't like contaminants in my brake fluid. Alright, the caliper is basically ready to go. I put some anti-seize here for lubrication. I don't know if it's the best thing to use for this, but it's something I have and I know it works. I've done this in the past. Inside on the sliders I used grease because they have very good seals on there. It fits like it's made for that. Who would have known? Line up these bolts here. These slider bolts, whatever you want to call them. Seems to be going in there. Yeah, it's going. Do the same thing to the other one down there before I go too far. And I think I got it already. Like I said, it fits because it's made for this truck. Make them go snug. I'll do this one before I tighten it too much there. Alright, when I finish tightening something down, even if I don't use the torque wrench, I always use both hands because it gives me a better feel for what the correct torque is, even if I don't use a torque wrench. Okay, the one thing left to do for the caliper now is to put the brake hose on. I got this brake hose from a nice truck in the junkyard, same as the calipers. Now the one thing that bothers me a little bit about it, I got these copper washers there. For now I'm reusing the old ones, and it's not because I didn't try to get new ones. Yesterday when I bought the seals for my wheel bearings, I asked for these and they couldn't find them in their system. This was Napa Auto Parts. I mean, normally an auto parts store should have these washers. It seems maybe that nobody ever replaces them, but because it's the brakes and it's a copper seal, I'd feel better to have brand new ones there. For now I'm putting these in, but I still have to do the other side before I even get to bleeding these, so there's still time. So here's the hose. The other washer is already on there. Weirdest thing, guys, it's 7/16. So this truck is really literally half metric and half standard. Yeah, I'm guessing there's some parts that were carried over from the older trucks, the square body type, and some others that are redesigned, so you got different styles. That's definitely tight enough. I don't think it's going to leak even if I was to leave those washers, but I'm going to try again to find those. Let's put the cap on it too before we lose it. Hey, how does this look? So what I'm going to do, take those wheel nuts off and I can get the wheel, put it back on for now. Truck sitting outside here, you know. I always feel better when it doesn't look like it's a working project, which of course it is. So guys, the wheel is on right now. Got a new tie rod, got a new idler arm. Now this pitman arm I was debating earlier, because it's kind of a pain in the butt. You know, you need a special puller to get this off. Sometimes even the puller won't be able to remove it because it's been on there for 35 years. On the other hand, I don't know what this looks like inside there, so I will probably bite the bullet and just do it. Because see, I paid for a whole kit of suspension and steering parts. And for the steering, I mean, that's probably the more likely one to be worn. So I got all the parts for it. So I'm thinking it's a good idea to do that as well. When I do the other side, I probably won't share everything with you because you've already seen it. Now, the one thing, the Pitman arm might be worth another video all by itself. So if you are interested in these trucks, watch my series. You will learn, even from a goofy guy like me. And I'd appreciate if you liked my video and if you subscribe to my channel, if you haven't done so yet. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video.